Shalom, my brothers and sisters. Shalom, and welcome to Words and Questions. Words and Questions to Yashar'al, Nation of Believers. My name is Symmanayah, and if you're tuning in for the first time, you will come to know that those who seek to do the will of Almighty Yahuwah, those who seek to worship and obey Him, those who have come to accept Yahushua as Mashiach, as Messiah, who understand that no one can reach the Father except through the Son, these represent the true Yashar'al. It consists of Hebrews and Goyins, Hebrews and Gentiles, Ibri, and other nations. All those who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father. These are my brothers and my sisters. This is my family. Today is September 23rd, and I want to talk about condition of families and groups. Conditions of families and groups. Perception and reality will differ. What is the face of famine, drought, and plagues? With that said, let us go into this segment. Who is able to discern the reflections of change during end-time prophecy fulfillment? Have you thought about possible challenges as conditions change? Who has identified places of safety when chaos hits? Where will you go if forced out of your home, residence, apartment, etc.? Is it safe to be among people of like mind, spirit, who have the same goals and objectives of worshiping and obeying the Most High Father? Can your family, circle of friends, group, fellowship, etc. withstand the strains of change? Are there those among us who will betray us for a morsel of bread or a glass of water per se as things become worse? I've mentioned in previous recordings that the Amos sequence has begun, referencing Amos' 4th chapter, verses 6 through 13. I invite you to read and examine how famine, drought, plagues, and wrath were mentioned in these scriptures. A course of action that was taken by the Almighty Father. Let's examine some words in Matthew 24. Matthew 24:5 reads, "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and they shall lead many astray." That's Matthew 24:5. Now I ask the question, if there are many professing to be the Messiah, is it safe to expect that some believers may become distracted by such, since it said some will be led astray? So, in regards to that, would we not see or witness some disappointment, anger, as a result of witnessing such? Will we not be faced with challenges of how to manage our anger, our emotions, our disappointment? Another verse, Matthew 24:6 reads, "And you shall begin to hear of fightings and reports of fighting. See that you are not troubled, for these have to take place, but the end is not yet." These passages in Matthew are talking about signs of the times. Rumors and actual fighting. Who has asked the question, what are they fighting over? What are people fighting over? Are they fighting because someone was misled? Are they fighting because of disappointment? I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, the fight will be over many things, but the most intense among them will be over fresh water and food. Remember, we will read in a moment that famine and drought is predicted. How much fighting must we witness before we realize what's unfolding regarding end-time prophecies and the need to move towards safety? I mentioned once before, brothers and sisters, if we wait to chaos break out before we try to plan, it will be difficult, most difficult, next to impossible in some cases, trying to get to a safe place. The streets will be filled, cars will be stalled, run out of gas, congestion, frustration, a lot of challenges we will face if we wait to the last minute. So I say, let's pray And let's seek to discern, where does the Most High desire us to be? Where should we be going? Or if indeed he wants us to prepare just to be fortified where we are and be still. Yes, my brothers, we are in end times. Look around on the news and you'll see and hear and read news articles, news flashes, and some will consist of words like never before has this occurred. I believe, my brothers and sisters, there are and will be instructions and guidance regarding the safety of Yashar'al. Moving on, Matthew 24:7 and 8 reads as follows: For nation shall rise against nation and reign against reign, and there shall be scarcities of food, deadly disease, and earthquake in places. And all these are the beginning of birth pains. If these are the beginning of birth pains, my brothers and sisters, what will be the face of continued birth pains? What will be the face? What will the characteristics be of continued labor, so to speak? What will be the magnitude of our challenges? Where will we be able to go for comfort and safety? Pray and watch. There are guides directed by the Spirit of Yahushua who will be able to come away from unbelief and present messages as directed by the Most High. They will present instructions. They will be led by the Spirit, the set-apart Spirit that Almighty Yahushua sent in Yahushua's name. Yes, who will be able to discern the living instructions, the warnings, the guidance from above? Matthew 24:9 reads, Then they shall deliver you up to affliction and kill you. You shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. I ask you, my brothers and sisters, does Matthew 24:9 confirm the presence of martyrdom? Does it define those who will possibly be martyrs? Who is girding up for the possibility of sacrifice? Scriptures tell us that he that seeks to gain his life will lose it, but he that loses his life for the sake of the Most High Father shall discover life and life more abundant. In the midst of those who will hate us because of our desire to worship and obey the Most High, who has given thought to what will be necessary to make us strong and keep us on track? Yes, there are quick and brief answers. Yes, there are responses from appointed and chosen of Yahuwah, the Almighty Father. But there are also the self-appointed, who will say what you want to hear to appease you, to tingle your ears, to tingle our ears. Let us pray that we're able to discern righteous responses from above, whether it be through one to another, whether it be through the donkey, a mouth of a donkey being opened, whether it be as a result of the stones crying out. Who has established a ready mind to discern when righteous words are presented? Who has the strength to step away from unbelief, to be freed of strongholds that weigh us down? My brothers and sisters, in the coming days, it will become more evident that we must grow in discernment in order to walk with precision in obedience to the Spirit of Yahushua as he works in us one towards another. It would be wise to discern his appointed leaders and or assume your position as an appointed leader. Matthew 24:10 and 11 reads, And then many shall stumble, and they shall deliver up one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise up and lead many astray. I ask you, my brothers and sisters, do Matthew 24:10 through 11 suggest some of us will experience those we know betraying us? Is it possible we may also experience disappointment, anger, and a host of other emotions? How do or would we know that a person is a false prophet? Will some righteous prophets be mislabeled as false in the battle for establishing right rulings and position? In other words, as people fight against one another trying to establish leadership roles and be in charge, will we witness some of the righteous prophets of the Most High be mislabeled as false prophets? Just because we ignore details will not make them disappear in or be non-existent. It would be wise to pray, discern, and see and hear clearly, as well as to make wise decisions regarding this journey. This is and will continue to be a situation that demands wise decisions. Yes, my brothers and sisters, there is and will continue to be much work ahead regarding the perfecting of the body of believers who seek to worship and obey the Most High Father. Pray and watch. Pray and watch the unfolding of all that is promised to the people of Almighty Yahuwah come to be. Matthew 24:12 and 13 read, and because of the increase in lawlessness, the love of many shall become cold, but he who shall have endured to the end shall be saved. So, my brothers and sisters, we read Matthew 24:13. Pause and ask yourself, what will lawlessness resemble? What would be the face of lawlessness? And discovering that some of our friends, possibly brothers and sisters, have become cold towards us, what will that resemble when we find out people don't love us anymore? They become cold. How many of us have asked ourselves, were we prepared for such a response? Encouragement is present in scriptures. The expectation of one day seeing our Mashiach, our Messiah, is within us and spoken among us. The scriptures I presented have other scriptures there that provide witness to end time conditions. Though it may just represent the tip of the iceberg per se, there will be so much more that we will experience. How intense will it get before we begin to see a different side to our family, our friends, our neighbors, our co-workers? How bad will things get before we start seeing them change the way they treat us, the way we treat one another? Food shortage may be the first thing to hit our doorsteps. How many are aware that recent laws were passed? I'm not sure if the president signed them or not in the United States, but recent laws were passed in the chamber in an attempt to reduce the amount of food stamps that will be dispersed or distributed in the future. So if this comes to be that food stamps are cut, while at the same time the prices of food are rising, what do you think that will do for many households? Many fail to realize there are more people dependent on food stamp assistance due to a lack of jobs or low wage positions than ever before. Yes, I said ever before. Adding on top of these conditions, food prices are rising. There is a food shortage. It is obvious in many other parts of the world than it is in the United States. For we have been blinded. Our ears have been clogged. We have been misdirected and uninformed. Some cases managed by the mass media. How many of us have eyes to see and ears to hear? It's only a matter of time before we see crime spike and lead to increased chaos. Even more than what we are witnessing now, things will get worse. As for those in some parts of the world, it has already increased into chaos and war in some instances. As a shortage of water like overseas and in the western states, and conditions worsen, soon and very soon we'll see more and more people fighting, warring over valuable resources, critical resources, starting with food and fresh water. Yes, my brothers and sisters, there's a shortage of water like overseas in the western states, and conditions are worsening. We're beginning to see more and more battles pop up over the matter of food and water. And soon and very soon, if not already, our families, our friendships, our groups, etc., we will see a different side of individuals who we believe were loving and friendly, but we will see a whole other side of them as resources become tighter, shorter, hard to come by. There will be a rise in conflict, and enemies will evolve into cliques fighting for survival, even up to militia groups forming. Look around. It has started already, believe it or not. The question is, are we waiting for it to reach our doorstep before we realize the mercies and favors we have come to experience now and in future days? In other words, are we receiving mercy and favor right now, brothers and sisters, to give us time to prepare, to give us time to transition closer to one another, to give us time to identify those who are truly sincere in worshiping and obeying the Most High Father? Will the first to step forward be as the first fruits? The time to act has come. Yes, you and your families, me and our families, as Yashar'al, it is time for us to consider preparing to yield to a more perfected state of unity and prepare to be guided to a place of safety, or strengthened and prepared to stand firm and take on the role of martyrs, if that is indeed the instruction we are receiving. I think some will be martyrs, some will be called and demonstrate the gathering of an awakening nation. Don't forget, plagues are also a part of a foretold events to come. Pray and watch. Witness the changing face of families, fellowships, friendships, friends, etc. Perceptions and realities will differ, but that will not change the face of actual experiences and challenges that are coming. So whether we have one perception or another, or whether we take one position or another, the full face of famine, drought, and plagues is unfolding before our very eyes, my brothers and sisters. Pray and watch. Witness the changing faces. Remember the sequence of famine, drought, pestilence, disease. One can discover within the news presents words like never before embedded in the information. In other words, we're going to see news saying never before has this happened, never before. A lot is emerging, my brothers and sisters. And ask yourselves, what is the condition of our family, our families? What is the condition of our group? What is the perception? What is the reality? What are we hearing from above? Until next time, my brothers and sisters, prepare for changing groups, families, etc. Prepare for the unexpected. It will be like nothing experienced in these generations. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, be encouraged. Be encouraged. Soon and very soon, our Mashiach will return. Until next time, shalom, shalom, shalom.